Greetings to you and to the honorable guest and to the viewers, of course. One way or another, the rise of the far right like this and achieving such a high percentage in the elections will have a lot of implications on the nature of the government performance, one way or another, as we have listened to different parties that entered into the parliament yesterday after the elections. The Democratic Christian Party has no other way but to form a coalition with the alternative. And this the historic decline is unprecedented in the history of the SBD, and it reduces the chances of parliament coalition, the parliament alliances, and takes it into a long path as the second place party that acquired the highest percentage after the Democratic Party is the far right alternative, and it will make things difficult for the CDP as the other parties do not have high percentages of votes, and therefore the Democratic Christian Party to be able to form a majority, able to control the decision of the parliament 50% plus one, it has to form an alliance with other two parties, which will make things more difficult, as we have seen during the previous the coalition that handling a three-party parliament alliance will slow down the government decisions and will make it even more difficult, and the dynamics of the politics in the parliament and the government will be highly difficult. And this rise of the far right is a problem on alliances wise, trends wise, and today it plays a pivotal role in the opposition, and it will play the role of the opposition party in the parliament, and it will be able to obstacle the passing of a lot of law drafts. And in my opinion, these results will influence the government performance and the parliament performance with a lot of disruptions that we will see the implications of in the economic and government performances, and it will also be reflected in the German street. That's why I think that the alliances and the outcomes will not be at the level that the German people are aspiring to. And I think that the Democratic Christian Party will not be able to come up with outcomes more than the Scholz Party, the SBD.
Mr. Khedr, what factors led to the Social Democrats' historically poor performance in the election, sir?
Greetings to you first and to the viewers. Of course, I would like to clarify something, that the results of yesterday was the worst historically since the World War II for all democratic parties, and for the alternative for Germany results, it is the best results for this kind of parties since the World War II. Here we see two very important points. First, how was the alternative party able to achieve such success? And these previous factors from the World War II, and how the democratic parties scored just such failure. The CDB and the CSU, despite winning the elections, this has a lot of factors. First, if we talk today about the parties that participated in the previous government or the current government to form a new government, they were punished for their poor performance during the past period, and how they handled the major issues of the German citizens. The German citizen now have a lot of problems according residents. Jobs and the inflation rates and high prices, which are the basic concerns of the German citizens. The three participating parties were always in an internal conflict because of the stubbornness of the CDP that was punished this round of elections and did not even take one seat and did not pass the threshold of 5% to have a parliamentary representation because of their stubbornness and their proposal or their plan after some leaks to paralyze the government performance and get out of the entire situation as a victim at the end. This was their election campaign and they were punished because of that. And for the Greens and the SDP, there were a lot of campaign promises and that haven't been achieved, and there were some conservative trends for other parties. They, by the way of doing things, they conveyed this need for the alternative party for the voters.
Okay, Mr. Shemi,
Uh,
what challenges will MERS face in forming a stable coalition government?
In my opinion, there are many challenges. It would be very difficult to form a government comfortably because of most parties in the parliament do not have a high representation or majority of votes within the parliament. In order to form a government or a coalition, they have to he has to um, form a coalition with two parties to pass the threshold of 50% plus one, or a weak coalition with another party with no majority within the parliament, and consequently his ability to manage and rule the parliament and the government performance will be very poor. The parties that obtained percentages that are acceptable can also form alliances and coalitions due to their trends, whether the Greens or the SPD or the left party obtained an 8% percentage. They each of them alone cannot present anything new without a coalition. So now either to form a coalition with the alternative, which he promised will never happen, or a very weak coalition that will lead to nowhere, and he will not be able to impose his political will either in the government or the parliament. So in my opinion, coalitions will be very difficult to form, even if the two majority parties, the social and the Christian party, if they agreed, where they will not have the bigger majority. So that's why the coalitions or these elections might be the most difficult in terms of forming coalitions. We have seen a lot of difficulty in forming any kind of majority, so it will not be easy for the Christian party, and it might be a little longer to see a coalition being formed.
Mr. Khidr, how will the new coalition government address the economic, social and foreign policy challenges facing Germany?
I'd like to answer this question, but I have a small comment. I disagree with my guest in his vision that this election is the most difficult in terms of forming a government. I think it's the easiest to form a government if the FDP and the CSW were able to enter the parliament. We would have encountered a bigger problem. But today we have the distribution of votes across the parliament through only two parties. We will be able to form a new government, which is easier than the previous elections. The trends here, or the vision, is heading towards forming a government with the alternative and the Christian parties. We have tried this before and it was a stable government. The Chancellor Merkel government was formed like that, and we will find a consensus between the two parties and they will be able to form a government together. They can also take the participation of the Greens party, but the both of them alone can pass the threshold of 50% plus one, and they do not have to actually collaborate with the Greens. The challenges in Germany currently that will face this government, we have today a big problem is of how to promote the made in Germany concept that was very popular before the German machines and German equipments. The election campaigns promoted the factories and plants and encouraged them to develop their works. Now increasing the minimum wage, and also the programs contained reducing the illegal immigration and handling this issue differently. These are the most prominent challenges and the priorities of all German parties: the immigration file and how to legalize the existence of illegal migrants that are beneficial to the German society, and how to deal with the illegal residents living in Germany, how to promote industrialization, and how to face the inflation rates and high residence um, prices, high accommodation prices, and how to guarantee for the people passing the age of 40 and 50 and 60, and how to provide suitable pensions. These are the challenges and concerns of the German citizens. These were more of a sentimental elections more than political. There were a lot of concerns in the German streets concerning security, labor, social protection, and social pensions, and I do not think that any of the ruling parties or the parties that will participate in forming the government will miss those issues and files. I think Germany needs a government that would address these priorities first to reassure the German people. We
Okay,
have the health.
Mr. Shemi, Mr. Hussein Khidr disagreed with what you mentioned, or what your point of view or perspective about the elections was. Do you want to answer him or clarify your state?
Unfortunately, I haven't heard what
Okay,
he
sir,
said
how will the
exactly.
election results affect Germany's approach to its economy and defense spending?
There is also one way or another will be very impactful regarding the economy and the difficult issues that this new government will inherit, or the Democratic Party inherited from the SPD or the Schulz reign, the very poor relations with all of the alliances and the perimeter of Germany or the perimeter of the European Union, and the open war with Russia, conflicted relations with everyone, and these relations were very significant for Germany for a lot of political and economic issues. I think that the relations will be very difficult even with China. Given that Merz does not encourage openness to the East, Russia and China, and there are files suspended regarding the economy, and I don't Merz so far did not outline any plan to save the German economy, and his election propaganda was based on the asylum issues and the support for Ukraine, and there are no plans to save or salvage the German economy or the relations that Germany based most of its projects on. Now President Trump is threatening new tariffs and taxes, And as far as sanctions go, the tensions rise, and Merz stated that he will not allow Trump to justify his schemes for the European continent, and we are here are facing and encountering a state of conflict with Trump. The current government, exactly like the previous government, has no solid plan to base the future of Germany on. We cannot say that the next government will salvage and rescue Germany from the what the previous government did. It will not be that easy, and the files provided to the government will be more difficult to handle.
Mr. Khidr, in what ways will the election outcome influence Germany's role as a leader within Europe?
Armenia is now one of the most important states in the European Union. It is not an opinion, it's a fact. Germany and France are the most influential states in the European Union, politics-wise and economy-wise. The stability of Germany is highly important for the stability of Europe. And ideologically, I am in disagreement with the Merz, but the coalition formed during the past period was one of the most stable governments for Germany, and it led to stability in the European parameter because of the strength of Germany compared to the weakness state we have faced before. That's why I think Germany will be coming back very strongly, even despite of the disagreements between the two parties. They agreed on the importance and significance of Germany to the European Union, and we will see Germany playing an integral role again, because it is one of the most beneficial also to the European Union. Without the borders or customs, which are the most states that benefit from such cases, Germany, of course, without any bureaucratic obstacles. A state like Germany requiring any labor or human capital can attract Europeans from the neighboring countries, and that's why this will find a lot of support during the upcoming period. Regarding the Russian-Ukrainian war, this requires from the entire European continent to be strong, and this cannot be achieved without Germany. The internal security file we are living now and listening a lot of about a lot of terrorist attacks. We have seen different incidents, and that's why we will see attention being directed towards the internal security and the homeland security. Germany cannot face and combat this terrorism file without the joint action in this file. During the upcoming period, we will see the European continent as the number one priority on the negotiation table between the two parties, and also the agenda of forming the government, especially that we are seeing challenges after Trump assuming office and his threats of raising the tariffs and pressuring Europe into giving in regarding some policies. We have seen the problems of obtaining some raw materials due to the Russian-Ukrainian war, and even importing from China. So now we are promoting the idea of self-sufficiency in Germany